Hey everyone, I'm attorney Sid Pedinti from California Law Services. I welcome you to today's video training session. We are going to arm your business with strategies that will give you a direct competitive edge over your competitors in the market. Quick disclaimer, the strategies we cover are not meant to be legal advice. These are more educational and informational in nature. Please always consult an attorney in your area before you decide to take action after watching this video. So what does the ARM stands for, ARM? Well, first of all, the ARM is going to cover business, legal, and intellectual property. These are the three core strategies I have designed for you today. The A stands for asset protection. The R stands for risk mitigation. And the M stands for intellectual property monetization. So those are the three topics I'm going to cover today, and I'm going to give you information, tools, strategies, and ideas about so that you have with you the capacity to arm your business to be able to gain a competitive edge not only over competitors but over copycats and even squatters in the marketplace, people who have a direct impact over your bottom line. So let's dive right into it and explore what these strategies are. Now, if you're an entrepreneur or a business owner, chances are you have all these assets that I've listed in front of us. These are your business name, a product or service name, a program or even a course name, a business plan, a website URL, a domain name, a website content if you have a website, the particular workflow and the sections that you have in your website, perhaps even hashtags that you may use, the marketing plans you've developed, marketing assets and creatives that you use to acquire customers, publications, manuals that you've designed, marketing pages that you have on social media, on different platforms, right? The social following that you've developed on these different platforms, the social databases that you have in your possession where you interact and engage with your ideal clients and your customers, the social pages and profile that you have created, which has a following and has some commercial value, right? The content that you've published on those pages, including videos, audios, templates you've designed, or the questions that are as part of that conversation. These are assets that you can use to commercialize yourself, right? And publicize yourself. What about the customer list that you've developed, right? Client emails, the insights you've gained from working with customers. These are different assets that have some commercial value. So as an entrepreneur and as a business owner, you're constantly creating assets, you're creating something that has commercial value. These are things that started as an idea or a concept in your mind, or it might be a skill that you possess, or education, or even experience that you've gained over a period of time. And so these concepts are transformed from your mind as an idea into something that has commercial value, that can be owned, that can be protected, that can be traded, or even licensed in the marketplace. So that's the concept of intellectual property. And once you understand how to transform these assets that you possess right now in your business, how to transform them and convert them into intellectual property, you will have in your business which is the asset identification and protection strategies and checklists in place so you can do two things. Number one, raise the net value and the net worth of your business. And number two, have a mechanism that can protect these assets from all sides. Okay, so hopefully that makes sense. So once again, these are the different assets, as I've mentioned here, that you already possess in your business, right? Most likely. So how do you transform them into intellectual property? Well, good question. Let's start off by saying that there's four types of intellectual properties, right? These apply to almost all businesses, regardless of which vertical or market or industry that you operate in. The T that you see on the screen there stands for a trademark. A trademark is the mark that you use in the course of your in the marketplace, in the course of your trade. So your logo, your business name, these are trademarks. The C stands for a copyright. Quite simply, it's the right to copy somebody else's work, or the right that you're giving somebody else to copy your work. As long as it's an original expression of an idea that's in a permanent form, it's a copyrightable material. So as you see on the screen here, publications, the content on your website, the expression of ideas in your videos, in your lectures or conversations, these are all copyrightable material. P stands for patent. Patent generally come in three different forms. It can be a design patent, which has, by fundamental design itself, it solves a problem. Number two, it can be a packaging type of patent, or the last one, or utility based patent, or last one, it can be a plant related patent, right, where you're coming up with the new plant. So on one hand, you have something based on the utility, based on the actual problem it solves, one on based on the design, right, so packaging and whatnot, and then you have plant patents. Trade secrets are concepts that are not really registered anywhere, but things that you know in your business, that you use in your day-to-day operations, that you like to protect. These are the insights, the experiences that you have about a business, about your business, and about how to be competitive, right? That a new person in your industry may not know. So how do you protect that against all the parties, internally, externally, as well as from outside? That's what intellectual property covers. So understanding from the previous screen, if I go back a screen here, these are the assets that you already possess in your business, from your business name all the way down to your customer email list. Please note that this is not a comprehensive list by any means. These are just a few examples that I've listed here for you so that it's digestible, at least in this short video. The intellectual property, so for example, how do you transform those assets into intellectual property concepts? So business name, number one, know that you can trademark it. Excuse me. It's a trademarkable asset, right? So that's how you convert it into an intellectual property. You register a trademark. The second one, again, product service names or product names, same thing. And this applies to software program names as well. You can acquire a trademark for it. Program or course names, exact same thing. It can be a trademark. A business plan. Now, for example, the concept I'm talking about today, which is the arm your business, right? This business plan that I've created for you is called the ARM business plan, which is applicable to entrepreneurs. So instead of leaving a business plan as a business plan, I've given it a name. I've given it three core concepts that we cover and given it a specific structure. By doing this, I've converted a simple business plan into something that I can protect nationally and even internationally, right? If I get the trademark for Arm Your Business, which it's in the process of being trademarked, I will very soon have with me a tool that allows me to control the way other attorneys in the marketplace may behave, specifically relating to these concepts. If they create a program that delivers these three concepts in this format, and perhaps even something with a similar name, and I have the trademark with me and I have it copyrighted and I've captured these in different contracts, I can stop those particular parties from pursuing that, right? And so that's what a trademark or a copyright or trade secrets or as a whole intellectual property protection rights cover it, or why the concept's designed in that sense. It's the ability to turn a simple asset into something of high commercial value that you can protect, that you can monetize in multiple ways. Okay, so hopefully that explains how a business plan, a simple thing like that, that you already have in your business, can be transformed into a high valued intellectual property that can be protected and monetized in the marketplace. Okay, so um, that's why intellectual property rights are so important for you, the business owner, the entrepreneur, to understand, to not only differentiate yourself in the marketplace, but to be able to control the way competitors behave and allow you to be the one with the dominant power, right? The one with the upper hand in transactions. Let's move on. We have website domain URL. Again, did you trademark your website domain URL? If not, then consider doing so, right? If it has high commercial value, if you're transacting more than 100,000, 200,000, or $1 million, imagine the value of that website, just the name alone, right? So these are things you want to transform into intellectual property by understanding, in this example, a trademark, how trademarks work. The content of your website is copyrighted. As you see here, the disclaimer that I've given at the bottom, make sure you have these disclaimers on your website, on the different pieces of content that you produce. That way, you're in compliant with any copyright related laws. Feel free to look up the different resources and follow the exact definitions that they've given according to industry and according to your state as well. The website workflow that you probably developed, maybe that's a trade secret if it's very unique and it has a lot of commercial value. Once again, is it copyrightable? Yes, it is copyrighted material, but it can probably be a trade secret as well that you can capture in contracts and agreements. Hashtags as well are trade secrets, right? It can also be trademarked in the same way. Marketing plans, it follows the same example as a business plan earlier on. If we develop the ARM marketing plan, which is the monetization part of it, now what I've done is taken a simple marketing plan that I've created on my computer, which I've executed or I follow, and I've given it certain structure. I've given it a framework, I've given it a concept, I've given it a name, and by doing that, I've given it and I've created commercial value that I can protect and that raises over time as my company grows. And I can even license that if I decide to franchise out my business. So by transforming a simple marketing plan into something concrete, getting a trademark, getting it copyrighted, I have created something of immense commercial value. Okay, so that's how you gain the competitive advantage in your marketplace. It's by understanding how these different intellectual property concepts allow you to stand out and brand yourself differently from competitors in your market. The marketing assets, again, are copyrightable material, right? These are also trade secrets that you want to protect closely, especially if they're working really well and producing very high ROI and yielding a lot of results. Then you want to protect those from clients, you want to protect them from contractors that you deal with, perhaps even marketers that you might be working with, right? What about the publications and manuals? These are copyrightable material. These are also trade secrets that you can capture and you can restrict how others use it and protect them in the contracts that you enter into. So that's how you capture the trade secrets. Marketing pages, of course, they're copyrightable stuff. Social followings that you've developed, these are definitely trade secrets and could even be copyrighted. Uh, it's a little confusing in terms of the legality of whether something that you create on social media truly belongs to you or to the social media platform, right? What I suggest is for you to take a look at the privacy policy and the terms and conditions on the social platforms like Facebook and LinkedIn to see what they say regarding the content that you create in those platforms. So take a look. You'll be pretty interested in finding out all the time and money and investment that you're putting into these social media platforms, whether it truly belongs to you or does it belong to the social media platform. And so the same thing goes for the social databases as well as the social pages and profiles that you have created and that you are using in the marketplace right now, right, to publicize yourself. The content on those pages, is it copyrightable? Maybe. Is it a trade secret? Perhaps, right? Can you trademark it? Perhaps even so. It's a gray area, and there's a lot of conflicting case law on both sides. But ultimately, it comes down to a simple concept in my mind, which is, are you monetizing it right now? And if so, that's something you can capture as a trade secret in a contract, right? So if it's a gray area, let it be a gray area. For now, if you're monetizing it, capture it into contracts and agreements, and that way you can protect it. Same thing with a customer list or customer identities that you know, vendor identities, supplier identities, perhaps even marketer identities, right? What about even customer insights that you've gained and developed over time? These are trade secrets that you want to protect in the course of your transactions with clients, customers, competitors, or contractors, marketers, coaches, whoever you're dealing with. And lastly, the customer email list, right? It's absolutely valuable. It's everything about your business. So hopefully that it gives you a fairly good idea of how intellectual property rights work and how you can create intellectual property by making small shifts in your business, right? These small transformations will enable you to change a simple asset that you perhaps mindlessly create, like a Facebook ad, into an intellectual property that you can now capture in contracts, capture in agreements, and protect it from all sides. Let's dive into the second core section, which talks about risk prediction, right? You as a business owner, I'm sure you're aware of this. You know that every action or lack of action that you execute in your business has a legal implication, a potential legal implication, right? Whether you know it or not. And so there's many areas where there's things that can go wrong. And as a business owner, as the captain of your ship, it's your ability to navigate through these icebergs, right? So you can get to the other side without any damage. And that's what risk prediction talks about. It's about knowing the things externally impacting your business and internally that are also impacting your business, things that are brewing inside your company, and how to predict those different risk and conflict that can happen immediately or that might be dormant that can fire up later on, right? But it's having the tools in your possession to mitigate those when they come up. And that's what risk prediction talks about. It's risk prediction and mitigation, which go together. So on the left-hand side, you see the different avenues where there's possible conflicts, there's possible risks in your business. And on the right side, you see the different avenues and channels, the risk mitigation strategies that you, the entrepreneur, the business owner, or the decision maker in the company needs to understand, needs to predict, and needs to implement in order to minimize losses and minimize actual risk, right? So let's dive through what are the possible conflicts that exist in your business. Well, number one, it could be the business model itself. If you're in a highly regulated industry, or if you're in dealing in areas that have sensitive data or something of that nature that deal with human lives in one way, these are regulated industries and you want to make sure that you're protected from all sides, right? So that's the business model being at risk itself. What about risk from client and customers? There's always going to be some conflicts that rise, and you want to be able to predict and mitigate those in contracts ahead of time and be able to have open conversations about that with your clients. Get those things out of the way so that expectations are clear, your scope and the roles are very clear, and you have with you all the different tools that minimize losses later on. Also, risk from and conflicts with competitors as well as even copycats in the industry. What I talked about earlier about intellectual property applies here. If you have these different intellectual properties registered, you have with you different tools that you can use to not only minimize what the competitors and copycats are doing, but stop them altogether, right? Place injunctions on them. Um, Copyright laws allow you to bring infringement suits for up to $150,000 a day for potential infringements, right? So think about how powerful those tools are and how you can use them by making those small shifts that I talked about earlier. From a regulatory and government side, there's obviously going to be conflicts and regulations that will happen. So make sure you know and how to predict those ahead of time. Landlord-tenant issues, of course. There might be banking compliance issues. There might be stuff with IRS and taxation. There might be things about your advertising, the disclaimers that you may have to provide that you're not doing. What about employee contracts, right? These are things you want to pay close attention to, especially protecting your intellectual property. Also in partnership and internal operating agreements. Are they set up the right way? Are all the clauses ironclad? Are all the members structured the right way for the company? Is your company even operating in the right legal sense, right? The legal entity. So that's what risk prediction talks about and involves, and it's about predicting these risks from all sides, internally and externally. On the right side, let's dive right into it. We're talking about the different avenues and the different tools that you have so you can mitigate some of these risks ahead of time. So you just discovered the different parties that can cause different conflict in your business. Let's talk about what you can do to minimize those losses. Number one, what are you protecting? You're protecting company goodwill, right? That's worth everything. Number two, you want to make sure you have online compliance strategies in place. So you're in compliance not only with the government, but with internet rules and regulations that are constantly changing as well. Also, anti-spam regulations. We have internet law and website regulations. We have contracts with the different parties in place. We have NDAs and non-compete clauses. We have intellectual property enforcement rights that you have with registered intellectual properties. We have intellectual property infringement suits that you can bring, as I just mentioned, $150,000 a day for copyright violations, right? Extremely powerful for you to understand and use as a business owner. We have asset protection contracts that are like work for hire type contracts. We have domain hosting violations that you need to comply with. And those also protecting personal property from the things that's happening in your business. You don't want to be, the last thing you want is to be liable on the personal side, or creditors or your clients coming after personal assets that you have when it's something related to your business. So that's what risk prediction involves. Lastly, the third tool, the M, stands for the monetization of intellectual property and different assets that you have. And understanding this gives you and provides you a tool, and different tools actually, that can help you create multiple revenue streams. So let's dive back 2 slides earlier. I've shown you the different intellectual properties that you can create in your business, right? Simple, transformative shifts that you can pull and you can register, and by doing that, you can create these assets into intellectual properties that you can be protecting. Now, the good part about all this, and for those who understand intellectual property monetization strategies, is that this is where you can get really the competitive edge by creating multiple revenue streams in your business. I've listed a variety of different revenue streams that you can develop by leveraging and monetizing the intellectual property I just showed you, right? So as you create, for example, as you give something a name and you create the concept out of it, the ARM business strategies, and creating a video like this, now all of a sudden it has become a digital course and a program that I can charge money for online, right? So simple transformative shift in doing that, I have created a product out of just information that's in my head. I've created a digitized product. I've made it and turned it into intellectual property that now I can monetize in different ways. I can also host live events and seminars and use my intellectual property in those ways, right? So these are strategies that you want to think about in your business, right? Is there information that you can convert into a 2-day program, into a 2-hour workshop? And if so, what is it, right? How can you do that? And that's what this process of monetization is about. It's about exploring the different avenues in your business, creating different revenue streams, diversifying your portfolio, diversifying your revenue streams so that you're truly recession proof. That's how you gain the competitive advantage over competitors doing the same stuff, right? You have to do things differently. And by creating all these revenue streams, all these multiple sources that I've listed here, you'll have many tools to compete against your counterparts in the market. So again, let's dive back here. So we have books and ebook publications. We have creation of training programs. We have even building software. Maybe you can create a software and use that with your clients, right? And again, it's worth something, depending on how you monetize it. But that allows you to do a SaaS subscription model, software as a service, low monthly fees or high monthly fees, an automated model. We have monthly subscription services. We have creation of apps and software. We have outsourcing of the delivery process so that you're even more efficient. We have investor dealings. That's one way to monetize your intellectual property is onboard investors and get them to invest in it, giving you more resources. We have one-time setup and discounts that you can create. We have licensing of products and services from different avenues. We have franchising opportunities that you can explore, right? Development of additional intellectual properties from the things I've listed. We have licensing of intellectual property to competitors, right? Imagine if you could sell your business to your biggest competitor for 10 to 5 or 10 times the value of revenue, right? Wouldn't that be nice? Or you create a tiny program in your overall business that you can license to somebody else, to a competitor themselves, right? Those are the intellectual property monetization strategies that I'm talking about. It's all these ones listed here, giving you a variety of tools to leverage against not only competitors, but giving you the chance and enabling you to build a recession-proof business. So that's the asset and intellectual property monetization video strategy session. I want to ask you one last thing before I leave you today, and that's where would you like to compete in the market, right? On the left, you have a bigger pond where you can be the dominant fish by understanding how to get out and be more competitive, how to do things differently, how to stand out. Or would you like to compete in the right pond there where it's a crowded space, where there's a lot of noise in the marketplace, where there's a lot of hungry mouths looking for the same bite of food, right? What you want to do is be able to not only compete against them, but be able to take one step ahead of competitors, ahead of your clients, ahead of people you transact with, so that you're emerging as a winner in every transaction. You're creating something that can develop a following, right? You're creating a new market for yourself and educating them, convincing them, converting them, and developing a stream of revenue through that. And if you go back into this one last time, you can see that there's multiple avenues for you to try multiple messages, for you to go after different markets, for you to diversify your portfolio even within the same organization. Okay, so that's what Arm Your Business is about. I thank you for joining me on this video training session. I understand I went through a lot of these concepts fairly quickly. I have this slideshow for you. Go ahead and send me an email. You see my email at the bottom there, californialawservices@gmail.com. You see my phone number listed there. If you have any questions about this, I welcome you to go ahead and give me a call. The next steps here are, as you see the button right below the video, to book a free consultation session, right? If these strategies made sense to you, and you are already in the process of creating intellectual properties in your business, you have already a lot of these concepts and different assets in place, right? And you already have a business with a book full of clients and busy, then intellectual property strategies are definitely what you have to consider. in order to do two things. Number one, raise the net value, and number two, raise your monthly revenue. Okay, so that's what this is about. If you're in that stage, I welcome you to go ahead and schedule a free 30-minute consultation. We'll walk through these strategies and, in fact, this exact checklist in your business. Assess which one of these apply to you right now, which one, if there's red flags in any of these particular contracts, we'll dive right into it. If there's avenues that we can explore in terms of diversifying your revenue stream, that's what we'll focus on. But that's the next step at this point. It's to book a consultation. We can walk through the process. Just go ahead and click this form below the button. On the next page, you'll see a short form. I invite you to fill it out so I get a little more information about you, about what stage of growth you're in, which one of those assets you have in your business, and perhaps the two most important things in terms of conflicts and risks that you're facing right now, so we can focus on those right away. I'll see you on the other side. Once again, I thank you for joining me here. I'm attorney Sid Pedinti from California Law Services. I'll talk to you soon.